Chiefs win 17-10 on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers in division after a very ugly start to the game. And, not the prettiest game, but the Chiefs go on the road, win a game by 7 points in the National Football League. Lot of takeaways, and obviously you would like to see more out of this team. But a win is a win, Matthew.
It is. Yeah. I mean, listen, we kind of called it. This game was the perfect combination to have a little bit of an ugly game, a little bit of a sloppy game for the Chiefs. And that is kind of what we got from the start. I would say towards the finish, the Chiefs looked a lot cleaner in the second half, especially like the fourth quarter of this game. So you could say from the start of the game to the end, they were kind of trending up. And so there's definitely some stuff there you want to hang your hat on as a Chiefs fan. But again, they got the win. That's all this team really cares about, stacking up these wins as they get to the playoffs. And I think this year especially, it's pretty clear that they need a little bit of a reset, and the bye week is coming after one more game. So I think as long as they win these games heading into the bye week, they don't care how they come. We'll see what happens kind of in the middle of the season and down the stretch.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is definitely a process, and it definitely feels like a process, more than it ever has, because the fact that this team has won 2 Super Bowls, they're in the pursuit of a three-peat. There's a lot of, some moving pieces and parts on the offensive side of the ball. And I do think the fact that the offense found some footing and started playing better late in the game in the absence of Rashee Rice is impressive. And that's where we can, there's plenty to talk about the Chiefs, and they deserve a ton of credit. And we will get into a lot of the positives about there. Obviously, I think one of the big stories coming out of this game is the fact that Rashee Rice suffers a serious, believed to be serious, as Andy Reid says, it's not good, injury on his knee on the Patrick Mahomes interception. Mahomes actually friendly fire, accidentally taking out his number one wide receiver. Chiefs do respond with some offense after that, but man, that was a tough look there.
I mean, yeah, that was really bad, and that was kind of like that was just like the end, like the perfect for how bad how discombobulated Patrick Mahomes had played this year. That was like the perfect play for the whole thing. It was a pretty bad read to throw the ball into what seemed like pretty tight double coverage on Travis Kelce. The ball was then a little off target, so it gets picked. And an unfortunate play, for Patrick Mahomes to come in. He's just trying to make the tackle. Rashee Rice is actually hawking the now ball carrier down from behind to force the fumble, because he's been one of, if not the best player on this Chiefs team up to this point. And he's making another great play. And just unfortunately, Mahomes crashes into his knee. We'll see what happens. Just his body reactions on the field, the way his emotions, him having to be carted off, it sounded like he was having some trouble putting weight on his leg. It doesn't sound great for the at least short term, but maybe even season long outlook for Rashee Rice. And that is going to hurt this team a ton, because I think we talked about it. This offense has been looking a little better funneling through him. That's where they were at their best. And this game, we saw them go through Travis Kelce, and we can see that pitch is still there. They still have that in the bag. They can run a functioning offense through Travis Kelce. But we also saw, as this game kept going on, they needed something else, because they weren't getting a lot of the dynamic plays that way. They weren't coming. Missing Rashee Rice is clearly going to matter for this team. So hopefully it's nothing serious and he can come back sometime this year, but it did not look good, and the optics are pretty bad so far.
And talking about losing clubs in the bag, they lost their 4-iron on the 4th hole of the season. So that's going to be tough. They're going to have to adjust again, and we're going to adjust the screen here because we are excited to have our guy Geoff Schwartz joining us on the KCSN postgame show. Jeff, how we doing, man?
I'm good. How you guys doing? 4-0. It's better than the alternative, right? And no matter how you do it sometimes.
That is true.
I'm sure the Bengals would love to be 4-0 right now. I mean, like the Ravens would love to be 4-0. I mean, 4-0 it's 4-0, man.
Yeah, you go get some dubs, take care of business. And again, hey, it's a divisional game. It's an important one, and obviously there's plenty of storylines and little mini storylines throughout this game to talk about. But Geoff, I'd love to start with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs defense was outstanding in this game. I know Justin Herbert was immobile. I know the tackle situation, but man, the defense really did take care of business still.
Look, it should do that, right? It's a good defense. It's basically the same unit as last year, minus Snead, and so, but they have younger corners able to step up and make plays. And Chris Jones, when needed, it was there. The Chargers without their tackles, like you should play well, right? Like that's what you should do. And so, they have Ladd McConkey, and that's it. So you should shut down Justin Herbert. They couldn't get him to the ground though. I mean, Herbert, for as beat up as he is, he sure does move around well. And look, with the Rice injury and the Hollywood Brown injury and Kelsey and Xavier Worthy being a rookie, it's going to be 2023 all over again. It's going to have to be defense first and figure out ways to score enough points, be very methodical, be very precise on offense, and hope your defense gives you a stop or two, because right now with the state of the offense, it's just going to be that way for now until they figure it out. I don't really know, what else to do about the offense other than, it's what they went through last year. They're going to have to figure out a way to score points and win games and get in the playoffs. They're one game seasons.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw it last year. The Chiefs won a lot of games because of their defensive play. In this game, it started out, they give up a 74-yard drive for a touchdown to open the game. It's also the fourth straight game in which the Chiefs have given up an opening drive score to their opponent, but that's besides the point. But after that, they only gave up 150 yards of offense for the rest of the game. They only give up the one field goal after that. There's obviously another missed one. They really locked it down. And we know the Chargers offensive line had those holes. But like the pass rush seems to be coming along. Chris Jones is obviously a monster, but it seems like they're getting a little bit more out of a George Karlaftis, a Tershawn Wharton. So as long as Spags keeps in the blitzing and the pass rush picks it up, maybe you can cover for that loss of Snead and some of these other younger guys as they go through some of this learning curve.
Yeah, look, finding Warren's rushing the passer well. Karlaftis is getting in there. And it's not excuse me. Chris Jones said this week that Charles is coming back at some point, right? I don't know when that some point is, but being able to have different ways to affect the quarterback is great. And you look, the thing about Spags, like you saw in the Chris Jones sack at the end, he waits for those moments, man, and he brings that pressure. And you had Chris Jones on a tight end, right guard, right tackle, basically blocking no one, a free runner. Like so with the defense rushing the passer the way they are, I don't know if today wasn't the right day to take advantage of Bolton, but the Chargers couldn't do it. And you add in the secondary, and then you end up with what we saw today. I don't know who the Chiefs play next. But people will continue to target Bolton. You have to hope that you get home and are able to make enough plays to sort of mitigate that. They host the Saints. Got another night game. Jeez.
Monday night
These night games are there. Man. Oh man. I committed to doing this. I know I knew that part of it was like a night game. I knew. No, I'm kidding. I told BJ what the deal was.
I'll just wait until the Wednesdays and the Fridays start rolling in too.
I know. Yeah. Well, Christmas is a day game. It's 1:00.
Yeah.
So I'll be eating my Chinese food on Christmas. I'm just gonna hop on. That's easy for me there. No, look, I know we joke about sort of the way the Chiefs win, but the fact is they win, and having the ability to win in different ways makes you a very complete team. Look, again, the offense was okay today, but they were 9 for 16 on third down. A lot of those third downs were long. Like they just do the important things. Kareem Hunt, it's, I think a lot of us is challenging to root for someone like Kareem Hunt. That's the fair part of it. I didn't cheer today. I don't cheer anyways, like a cheer, but like he can rush, he can run, he's a terrible person, but can run the football. I mean, he changed the run game today, right? I mean, with Carson Steele in there, it wasn't going anywhere. Carson Steele cannot, he can't hold the football. P. Ryan's on every down back. You got 14 carries for 70 yards from Kareem Hunt. Like the ability to find guys like that off the street to help you is a very valuable part of team building and offense. And again, terrible person. I think we can all acknowledge that. shocked the Chiefs, and that's how desperate the Chiefs were to bring him back, right? We thought he'd never be back on the team, and he helped them out today. But I think I have to qualify every time we talk about Kareem Hunt in that way, because I think it'd be a disservice to not talk about it that way. But that helped the Chiefs today. He was a big help for them.
26 carries, 101 yards on the ground for the Chiefs. 5 of those are Mahomes, so it looks even a little bit better, I think, without some of that there from him, because they're not running a lot of design runs for Patrick Mahomes.
Well, he had the 3 kneels at the end hurt all that, right?
Exactly.
So if you take that out, that's like 23 for one for 98 essentially. So that's a good day.
Yeah, it's a good day on the ground. Still not generating a ton of explosives, but I think Kareem did a good job getting what yards were there. The longest run on the day was actually Mahomes with 13, and then Kareem Hunt from the backs, longest carry, 10 yards for him. I think the Chargers had a good game plan for Patrick Mahomes specifically. I think they had a fantastic rush plan, and they really just kind of continued to spam the same thing. They're getting a looper out as Mahomes is rolling right. Doesn't seem to be confident staying in the pocket and trusting what he's got over at the left tackle situation. I think the Chargers did a fantastic job of exploiting that, getting that opportunity in, early in the season against a divisional opponent. I think matters because, there's a little bit less, especially with the Chargers trying to, continue to build this culture, but trying to stay in the AFC West, they're maybe more apt to throw some things out there. And you see this game, you see what happens. There's a looper there for Mahomes every single time he tries to run right. He's have to try to figure out. It was really a fantastic plan from the Chargers.
Yeah, it was. But they've played good defense this season. Obviously, a couple scores late by the Steelers made that game look a little bit worse than I think it was for them. Mahomes is not playing as well as we know he can, right? Yeah. And it's interesting, when all his interceptions this year have been the same thing: off your back foot, kind of float the ball in the air. When he just plants his feet in the ground, drives the football, he's just as good as he ever was. It's eliminating some of those, that sort of that bad footwork, right? Those bad habits with the footwork, and I think he'll do it. But that's the problem right now with some of the and then of course Wanya got beat a couple times today early in the game, and it's very natural for a quarterback to start feeling that, right? Once you get beat a couple times, you start feeling those guys around you, and the Chargers knew that, right? They sort of basically, wherever Mac was at, they had the other guy, loop around the other side to make sure that when Mahomes scrambled out, it's part of the rush plan, right? You can force quarterbacks to certain sides and have guys waiting for him on that side. But nonetheless, when Mahomes had time to throw, he looked good. There was that play late in the game, the play action pass where Wiley actually sort of was crossing, then stopped and came back and helped Wanya. I mean, on that throw, Mahomes hit his back foot, boom, whack. And that was a great, he can still do that. It's just a matter of making sure that we're just doing it more consistently. And look, I think now with the current status, I'm not going to, Rashee Rice is out for the season. I would have imagined that he's not playing the rest of the season. It looked bad. We've seen that. We've watched enough football. We saw his reaction, right? Players know more first, right? They know right away. I don't think he's going to be back.
Seems like
so.
It. And he was very quick to. He was very quick to get, dismissed, basically said, hey, it's not good at halftime. You don't hear that kind of, that from Andy, and it's normally good. Or,
We've seen again, we've seen enough knee injuries. We saw what that was. It was unfortunate. It was terrible. But the Chiefs have had decent injury luck the last 5 years. It's a part of their success. When you're healthy, you tend to play better. They've had to look, but this is what football is. There's no excuses, right? Rice is now out probably for the year. Brown is unlikely to play anytime soon. Pacheco, I would imagine, not to the postseason if you get him back at all. Plus, what is he going to be in the postseason? The best teams figure it out. You drafted Xavier Worthy. He's going to have a bigger role in this offense now. Travis Kelce, who I think we talked about last week, and I bet on him to have over receptions and yards. I thought they were going to get him involved. They did. I don't think they wanted to get him this involved in most games. Well, you have to go back to getting him more involved now. You might go 13 personnel. You have Gray and you have Wiley. You have to find ways now and generate offense. Again, Juju's there, right? You can sort of use him in the middle of the field. Hardman still, I'm running down guys that don't really run routes very well. Hardman and Sky Moore, like we're getting, Watson can take a bigger role on, but that's life now. You have to, and Andy Reid and Mahomes will figure it out, but can't make excuses, right? It's injuries happen to everyone. The Chargers, right? They're out, their tackles and they're out. Bosa and James got suspended, and you have to play with what you have. So you got to figure it out. I would expect either tonight or tomorrow we get that tweet from Schefter or Rapport, something about his knee. It was bad.
Yeah, the Rice thing doesn't look good. And it is. The Chiefs will find a way to figure it out. They always do, whether that's, we got plenty of time now to talk about if the Chiefs need to try to go find a wide receiver that's available for trade or that they can sign to bring in. Because I don't know if you're going to feel great with, Rashee Rice goes out. You have Juju Smith-Schuster on the team who was brought back because of the connection with the Patrick Mahomes, and Matt Nagy talks about him and he's familiar with this offense, and he's kind of a non-factor in this game for the most part. And that's, you would assume he would be the guy filling into Rashee Rice's shoes if you had one on the roster. So we'll just have plenty of time to talk about them figuring it out. One of the big things is, go ahead.
I would just say, I don't know if he is, the Rice replacement is probably worthy.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that looks in your fifth game as a rookie.
Sure.
And then you probably put Watson where Worthy's at for some of the stuff. Look, it's just their job. They got to get creative. There's no replacing Rice, I don't think, but because Juju doesn't move like him, he can be in the sort of middle of the field, but he's not going to, one-on-one versus linebackers win very often.
Yeah, it's for him. It's catch and go down, right? It's for him. It's catch and go down. You're scheming the space stuff up for Worthy for sure. It's just, I just don't know if they have somebody to replace like that. On Travis Kelce, you need a reliable.
Well, you don't. It's what I think they were trying to do. I know people freaked out and were like, Kelce doesn't get the balls. I think they were trying to figure out a different way to. I think they were trying to figure out different ways to have offense without Kelce. That's what the weeks 1 through 3 were. And today, obviously, you need him more. Plus, there was talk about that they were going to get him. I thought they were going to get him the ball today, but in my opinion, Travis Kelce's job is to be ready for week 1 of the postseason. Not whatever he does now is unimportant. It helps them win, obviously, but I don't think that you want to find offense without Travis Kelce between now and the postseason.
Yep. No, that absolutely. So, Geoff, any other thoughts on this game before we take a break here? Any other thoughts before we get you out of here?
No, look, again, 4-0, you'll take it over everything else. It's not pretty sometimes, but I say this all the time: an ugly loss is better than an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. And the goal for the Chiefs, as it remains the same, is get to the postseason. It's all that matters. Get as healthy as you can to the postseason. You have inside track for the 1 seed now. Buffalo feels like your biggest competitor at the moment for that. Hopefully they'll lose tonight. You're at the Bills in, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. So there's a bye, I think, in there somewhere. So they're actually, it's after the Saints game. That was a little bye. So look, get through the Saints game, go 5-0. Saints will test the Chiefs defense a little bit with the way they run the football, and go 5-0 and reassess after the bye.
Absolutely. And we know Andy Reid's at his best after the bye. So hoping for some good things, and they'll have some time to adjust as they figure out what to do with life after Rashee Rice, and trying to figure out, obviously they had some plans for Hollywood too. So there's some tough luck there at the receiver positions. And by the way, you're running back 1. Things are piling up very quickly for this team, but hopefully they can respond. They did today. Geoff, thanks for your time, my friend.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Yep. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNpost. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNPOST. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNpost. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Chiefs win 17-10 on the road in Los Angeles, continuing to own the Chargers, winning a Jim Harbaugh-style football game, a very ugly football game, and the Chiefs still come out victorious. Matthew, back to the Chiefs defense. I know you really get a chance to talk about it. I know we let Geoff kind of cook a little bit, but my goodness, that defense was incredible today.
I mean, it was. It was. I don't want to take anything away from them, but I also want to come back to the Chargers had 2 backup offensive tackles and Justin Herbert who could not move. And I think you saw it anytime they had to call a drop back pass. Anytime they were in a drop back situation, they couldn't do it. They couldn't function. This is one of those situations where the Chargers could not functionally run a normal offense. So as soon as they were kind of game scripted out, whether that be by 2nd and long, 3rd and long, or the score of the game, it kind of became, I don't want to say like unfair or not worth like talking about how good the Chiefs defense was, but I do think that this is one of those games that you wanted to see them dominate. They did. That's awesome, but it's more of a check mark, I think, more so than like a, put your chest out and talk about how good they were because of the competition and just some of the stuff the Chargers had going on.
For sure. There's still definitely a lot for this team to do. There's still a lot of work for this team to do here. And, like the Chargers do get down the field a couple more times, but the Chiefs defense tightens up. They miss a field goal after a big play allowed to Lad McConkey. And then obviously the Chargers with 13:32 left in the game, 13:37 left in the game, 4th and 1 at the Kansas City 3. They decide to go straight drop back with Justin Herbert. I'll take that. I will take that any day of the week in that situation, with as difficult it was for him just to run a true drop back. It was great call for the Chiefs.
And once again, the Chiefs run defense was incredible, right? Like I think Dobbins had one like double, like a 10, 11 yard run or something like that. But besides that, it didn't seem like Dobbins had anywhere to go. Gus Edwards had nowhere to go when he came in. Like the Chiefs run defense was once again great. Now, they were allowing themselves to kind of run blitz a little bit more, stack a little bit more in the box because the Chargers were playing a little heavier, but also they didn't really think that they could drop back and throw the football, and they were right. So there was definitely some stuff about how the game went that I think helped the Chiefs defense, but they still played really good. You got back-to-back good Nick Bolton games, which I know some fans were a little on edge about after his start to the year. Now, the script has been better for him, but Jeff alluded to it too. The Chargers didn't really find a way to go at Nick Bolton or the linebackers in space a ton outside of Drew Tranquil getting caught a little flat-footed on a couple flat routes to start the game. So defense generally played pretty well. I still have some concerns over that cornerback 3, or more specifically, who's playing in the slot. As this game went on, you saw Trent McDuffie getting back in the slot a little bit more and Najee Johnson coming into play on the outside while Trent went in the slot rather than sticking with the Chamari Connor in the slot kind of plan they had been going. So that's still a little bit of a question mark. But overall, defense held serve exactly how they should in this game. Across the board, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Some stats on the Chiefs defense real quick. I wanted to get into real quick. So the Chiefs defense allows, and look, I understand. Look, this is a team with a hobbled quarterback, and this is a team with some, both tackles out. 224 total yards on the game. They didn't score. The Chiefs defense didn't allow a point for the last 48 minutes and 53 seconds of the game. And there were some successful drives that just kind of fizzled out, in the low red or on the wrong side or on the Chiefs side of the 50. But, even though this defense didn't necessarily, have the biggest challenge today, they still took care of business against a hobbled defense or a hobbled offense. So I do give them a ton of credit for that. Anything else on the offense, Maddie?
The defense still? Sorry, we still
defense. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I thought Felix came in and played pretty well. Right? Like Felix got a lot of run on the defensive line. I thought he played fine. Like I don't want to sit here and say that he was dominant or great, but he had some moments where he flashed a little bit. You saw his athleticism clearly stand out, and he had to play a lot of snaps in a very run heavy script. And he was not taken advantage of in the run game at ways that like we kind of have seen throughout his first year in a couple games where he's getting blown off the ball, multiple yards, getting blown well out of the play. Those weren't very common in this game. So I thought it was a pretty good showing for Felix, given the fact that this was like his first extensive run of the season. So I thought that was good. Chris Jones still dominant. That's really about it. Like, I just don't think the Chargers had a lot to challenge the Chiefs defense with, other than kind of highlighting that slot defender position might still be a problem.
Yep, and Ladd got him. Ladd got Shamari Connor on that slant RPO early in the second half, and but like that was one of the last big plays that this team really gave up in that game, and the Chiefs were able to survive.
And there was a third down later where the Chargers motioned into a stack look, and they don't even get like any leverage. So any out route was going to be out leveraging the slot defender or even the outside coach. Just they have some issues they got to figure out with the slot coverage, I think, but. They allowed, like I said, outside the first drive, they allowed 150 yards and 1 field goal. So, like, it's hard to be too upset by anything that we saw there on the defense.
All right, so a lot to talk about on the offensive side of the ball. We talked about some of the struggles that the Chiefs had with the pass protection and how, Jesse Minter was getting after Patrick Mahomes and kind of had. But you kind of see this highlight from Xavier Worthy. I think one player we haven't spent enough time talking about yet is Xavier Worthy stepped up in a big, big way for this team. He goes and gets the explosive touchdown that this team desperately needed, a 54-yard touchdown off of play action and a fantastic ball adjustment with a guy. He beat a step and, had him kind of draped over his feet, and he still goes down and makes the play. And then, I think even catching that big 3rd and 6 to close the game out, 3 catches, 73 yards for Xavier Worthy and a touchdown. This team's going to need him a lot moving forward. And he had a very big impact on this game when his team needed him the most.
Well, yeah, like outside of the stat sheet, right? I think Worthy has had some impact on every single game so far. The way teams have to play the Chiefs, you see it consistently where they are getting a lot of guys deep. You're getting whether it's soft coverage, whether it's constant too high, but not too high coverage where a safety's looking to cut across her. I mean, like legitimately too high where a safety's just sprinting backwards off the snap. That's happening. He's opening up a ton of space, but not every game he's showing up in the stat sheet. Well, this game, when essentially nothing was working for the offense, when Patrick Mahomes had played some of the worst football, I mean, like we'd seen for a quarter and a half almost, then he drops back after they get the ball right around midfield, launches a deep ball to Worthy, who that hits this stutter and go against a little bit of like, look like some form of quarters coverage. The safety gets caught looking the other way, looking across the field. He freezes the CB for a second and just takes off by him, blazes by him. I think I saw next gen stats, on that play, he hit like 21.5 miles an hour while kind of running through contact, kind of getting his arm held down, makes this big catch. Like, that's perfect. That's great. That's what you want. The stat sheet finally starts showing, I think, the impact he's putting on the field, week in and week out. He has a couple other catches in the game. They go back to the mesh play in which there's not 2 wide receivers on top of each other. So he's able to run through that one and convert it, kind of get the game clinching catch at the end. Strong game by Worthy. I like that they went to him on 3rd down on the Tyreek Hill route on the little like sprint out that they used to love. Yep. The little like speed out on the sprint out stuff. They go to him on that after they tried Sky Moore on that earlier in the game and he dropped it. So good showing for him. I think you're going to continue to see a lot of stuff perk up. I think we'll probably have a really long discussion about Worthy, I think, on the lab about like where the Chiefs offense might need to go without Rashee Rice and why Worthy's going to have a really big role going forward. But I don't know if that's a right now discussion. That might be a tomorrow.
It probably is, but I think I'm not entirely sure that Xavier Worthy was going to be the out route, recipient on that play necessarily until they maybe just went to him. I think that could have been a very easily a Rashee Rice play. If Rashee Rice was playing. So I think there was some improvisation happening for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs offense, they were having to adapt. And that's always a tricky thing, especially someone who this offense has very clearly funneled through. Now they were getting Travis Kelce involved a lot more in this game. So maybe it wasn't funneling as much through Rashee as it had through in the first 3 games. And maybe it didn't completely alter the game plan, but Rashee Rice's impact was still going to alter this game plan. And I think it's a credit to the Chiefs for figuring some things out, solving some things, doing some things good on offense still. It wasn't like it was completely devoid of anything good. They still had some good moments. It's just, again, consistency and being able to put everything together is proving to be a challenge for this team. And now it's gotten a little bit more difficult with Rashee Rice presumed absence. Hopefully it's not a season ender, but it does seem like it's trending in the wrong direction.
Can we do it? Can we? Yeah, it is. I mean, I think Travis Kelce's role, his importance to this team obviously just took a huge step forward. I just don't know if you can still go back to the offense of 3 years ago where everything runs through him. I think you even saw in this game as it continued to go on, when you need instant offense and it's not working, you can't throw a ball 3 yards to Travis Kelce, have him beat somebody, and then turn that into a 12, 15-yard play, right? Like his stuff is a lot more find a spot in the zone, sit down, catch it, and kind of fall down, right? And I know there was a play last week or the week before called back by penalty where he had the big catch and run, but for the most part, it's just not free anymore. So like they're going to need to do others. They're going to need other guys to step up, but I do think Kelce is going to be the biggest benefactor, so to speak, of the volume that Rashee Rice loses. Can we do a little bit of like an instant Patrick Mahomes reaction? Like we obviously want to sit back and watch more, but like, what were your thoughts just on Patrick Mahomes' play throughout this game and what you were kind of seeing?
So I know a lot of people talked about some of these plays that were touchdowns and, oh, he didn't see this guy. He didn't see that guy.
Some.
And there definitely was some. And I think if you were talking about his ability to not see him, I think it's because he's seeing the rush too much right now. He is feeling pressure differently than he has in previous years. And he is quick to get out of pressure quicker than he has in other years. I don't think, and I think it really ties down to the left tackle situation. I just don't think he feels comfortable with his left tackle right now. And that is proving to be, I think, one of the biggest issues that this team is having to navigate, where it's not always been a problem. And some of these pockets that he's running from are clean. They're not collapsed. They're fine from the left tackle spot. But I think Jesse Minter did the best job of anybody to this point. And it makes sense because this is a divisional game. And this is these are when, divisional teams try to unload the clip on each other, right? I think Jesse Minter had the perfect plan where they were getting a looper basically into Mahomes' escape route and knowing that Mahomes wants to escape right now and might be even a little bit more quick to escape right because of what he's getting over at the left tackle spot, which is, I think, unfounded. Like, I think the left tackle spot's been capable enough for him to hang in the pocket. And so his lack of comfort with that tackle, whoever's over there, Kingsley, Wanye, is ultimately, I think, to blame for what is happening with some of this, because he is getting out of clean pockets because he doesn't trust that left tackle situation. And you saw him get a little bit more comfortable during the game, and maybe somebody walked up to him late in the game and said, "Look, it's fine out there. The tackle's fine. Stick in the pocket," because he had a couple late game solutions. He hung in the pocket on one play, and then he actually cut inside of the looper to throw that ball to Travis Kelce on 2nd and 20. That turned it into a 3rd and 9, which was still it was a pretty risky throw. But all that to be said, I think the reason he's not seeing stuff downfield is because he's too busy seeing stuff. He's seeing that rush, and he needs to try to just hang in there a little bit more and give his offensive line a little bit more trust, specifically that left tackle spot.
Yeah, I don't quite see the concern that he's feeling from the left-hand side since Wanya Morris has taken over. Now, maybe this is a practice rep because there's a lot of reps there. Maybe this is a hearkening back to feelings he had last year where there was a couple games, especially a Raiders game, where Wanya Morris was essentially as rough as Kingsley had been against the Bengals, where it was every time they had to drop back, he was getting beat. And so like maybe there is some feelings not from these games that are impacting him, but he's getting to the back of his rush. And like early in the game, the Chargers did a great job. They were just showing a soft edge off to Mahomes' right, and he was taking it. I don't think he was getting flushed from the pocket. I don't think that he was necessarily like, oh, I'm under pressure, I have to go. I think he was just seeing an open edge. He was trying to take it, and then they had the defensive end essentially just playing contained and kind of ready to sprint out. And you got a holding penalty on Jawan Taylor because the D end was ready immediately to disengage and chase. You got a couple plays where he was corralled up, and then as the game went on, they started throwing that stunt in there, and this is something that the Denver Broncos used to do all the time when they had, previous coaching staffs with I think Evero was there. They did it a lot. It's exactly how they played him. They did it every single time. They would loop a D tackle, sometimes a backside D tackle up and over, and they would just try to catch Mahomes trying to roll out to his right. And he was taking the bait every single time. And then in the second half, it almost started to feel like now he's not taking the bait. Now he's feeling uncomfortable, like he's going to get hit, when at the beginning of the game, he was the one putting himself in position to get hit. So just, it felt like his own actions were building on top of himself, and it was making his pocket awareness and his pocket movement pretty darn bad. I do think he missed a couple throws downfield because he was too busy trying to sprint out or roll out versus just slide in the pocket when there's plenty of space. I think the Justin Watson play that Tony Romo highlights on there, that's because he had to move, but he didn't keep his eyes up when he had to move. He was too worried about trying to find a rush lane to get out of the pocket. So he didn't keep his eyes up and see a relatively easy and wide open Justin Watson. So I didn't love the pocket movement from Mahomes. I thought it was it was really bad, and it was unwarranted given how the pass rush was not getting home over and over again. I see here on Next Gen Stats. Sorry. I was going to say on Next Gen Stats, the closest player, the rusher to the QB on average, the closest guy was over 4 yards away. Now, contained rushes, they're doing different stuff, but it's not like he had guys in his face all the time. So I thought the pocket awareness was bad. I will say, though, I thought he made some big boy throws. He made more difficult throws in this game than he probably had in any other game this year. And I think that's worth noting. He did start to push the ball into the intermediate areas a little bit. He threw some difficult high-level passes, and that's something I don't think we had seen since the Baltimore game. So that was also nice to see. Little good and bad.
8.4 yards per attempt for Patrick Mahomes on the day is pretty good. Explosive plays of 38, 54.
Finally
29.
over 6 yards ADOT, I think.
Man, some good stuff in that game. And things started to find themselves a little bit. There was plenty to like. We're going to take a break. We'll have Tucker D. Franklin on right after this.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
We do have some news here coming up shortly. There it is, Tucker.
Ugh.
Wow, we get the 60-second countdown going. Now we got the.
I wanted the vibes to be up higher for the news that you were about to read because I did see it across the timeline.
We'll get to that news here in a little bit. I'll say it. James Palmer TV. It is feared wide receiver Rashee Rice has potentially suffered a season-ending ACL tear. The fact that they know that this quick, and the fact that they are getting it out there this quick, tells you probably where it's heading, where that direction is heading. I think so the belief is that he has torn his ACL. We can get into all that a little bit more. But Tucker D. Franklin, give me some thoughts on this football game that you might have had.
Look, you know me and how I really love the beef and the guys up front, and I really enjoy in games like these close games. Sometimes you just got to run the damn football. And I thought the Chiefs ran the ball really well in times it mattered. Looking down at the rushing sheet, look, I don't know if you guys hit on Carson Steele very much. The second fumble, the fumble that he had, tough, man. As soon as I saw him fumble, I was like, that's going to be tough for him. But look,
in the second, I mean, he has 2 carries for 6 yards, and then they kind of go, and they basically went with Kareem the rest of the game, I believe. Like, it was a Kareem P. Ryan with a little Carson Steele sprinkled in at that point. And
I was kind of surprised by that because it was like, hey, we have to make sure he's in shape. We have to make sure he's ready to go. It's like, yeah, he kind of knows. He knows the offense still a little bit. We haven't changed a whole lot since he was here. He knows a lot of the basic concepts, but 14 carries, 69 yards, a nice little total for him there. 4.9 yards per carry. Like, he was kind of getting after it on the ground, and I was kind of impressed. I don't know about you guys, but like, he looked like he still had a little bit of explosiveness. I was surprised how he looked. Like, I'm very, very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised. He looked a little bit quicker than he did when he played with the Browns last year. And I wondered if there was going to be like a football conditioning or injury thing last year. And it sounds like, according to Andy Reid, he had come out and said that like he is recovering from a hernia surgery, I believe it was, or something like last year going into the season. But like, I even went back to 2022 and it still didn't seem like the same quickness was there. But what we saw today, I mean, he got downhill quick, right? And there's no long speed. Not like Kareem Hunt was ever the fastest player, but like he's definitely lost a step in terms of his long speed, but he's getting downhill quickly. But what really impressed me is, compared to other runners that the Chiefs have had even this season, he is able to press the line of scrimmage and then move laterally to another gap very quickly. He doesn't have to completely stop his feet, stop all of his momentum. He is able to change his gaps while still moving forward, while pressing up on the line of scrimmage. And that allows him to get through the gap quicker than other guys might when they have to do that. And that was impressive. And that does allow you to run a different variety of their zone stuff. It does allow you to get into the gap games. Like, I do think he makes the run game more diverse than any other running back they have on the roster, even if it's never going to be super dynamic. And then, oh, by the way, he still has the power. He still has the same contact balance he's always had. I thought this was a funny little nugget. Kareem Hunt today averaged 0.41 yards over expectation per run. That's not a ton, right? That just means he's falling forward. That's a good thing, though. Isaiah Pacheco, it is negative. And like we think of Isaiah Pacheco as a very hard runner who falls forward a lot. And I do agree. But like generally speaking, Pacheco's getting just what's blocked there for him. If you look at the advanced metrics, Kareem Hunt was falling forward consistently, getting a little bit more than he was supposed to. It was fun to see.
Mute button. Oh, the mute button got him. Oh, no.
I'm back. It really was fun to see. The classic, like there were some classic jump cuts from Kareem Hunt that we used to see back in the day, right? Back when he was in Kansas City. So you saw a few of those, and he never had that extra gear. He really didn't ever have like that extra gear, and that's okay. But like I think he outperformed what was there, what was blocked at times from there. And it was like some of those adjustments that he was making, jump cuts. It looked very familiar. It was a little weird to see him in 29.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was a little weird to see him in number 29, but like it did look like there was some vintage Kareem Hunt moments in that game, which was kind of interesting. Geoff Allen. Here's something from Geoff Allen. Kareem is the best running back on the Chiefs roster, including 10. That is a quote from Geoff Allen, our guy, the cookie expert.
Somebody wants to tell me that. It's one game. We'll see more than one game. We'll see how things progress. But if I'm basing it entirely off of this one game, I don't know if I have a good argument against it, because while what Pacheco has over him is there's a little bit more home run ability, but Pacheco doesn't get to that speed very efficiently. Pacheco doesn't do a good job getting to play at how fast he is. Whereas I think Kareem Hunt is constantly playing as fast as he possibly is. So I don't know if I disagree with Geoff. I don't.
Can I add this point too into the Kareem Hunt thing? Watching him go today, the next layer to the Kareem Hunt acclimation to the offense is going to be in the passing game and in the screen game. And I've been going back watching 2018 Kareem Hunt highlights just because I've had to pull some for Chiefs News Daily, right? If you watch that here on the KCSN YouTube channel, you've seen the Kareem Hunt highlights, and like everything from 2018 is like screen game. Like it's him in the screen getting loose in space. And I want to see that. The Chiefs, they've got linemen that like to get loose in space too, in terms of how they want to use those guys. So very excited for how he can be used. The potential. It's the potential that I'm really excited about with Kareem Hunt. Because look, as a guy, I was a little skeptical of him coming in because he's Joshua Briscoe's age. Like he's old. I was like, they got a whole running back room full of Joshua Briscoe aged guys.
Yikes.
How are they going to be able to do that? I think on Twitter, I called it the geriatric rotation that the Chiefs were running with Samaj P. Ryan and Kareem Hunt. And look, Kareem Hunt came out there and he looked pretty damn good. I was pretty impressed with how Kareem Hunt looked today after having not very high expectations for him just because of the situation coming in, really filling a role that, I don't know if he was if this was the game plan really, because it seemed like they were riding steel pretty heavy early. Then the fumble comes in. He was getting a lot of the snaps. He fumbles. Then it's Kareem Hunt. So I think it's a great sign for the Chiefs offense, at least on the running game side of things moving forward.
Wanted to get into a few of the super chats here. Jordan Gardner saying, if Rice is set to miss significant time and if turns to win, we make a move for a wide receiver, right? I think the Chiefs will look to make a move at wide receiver towards the trade deadline when things become a little bit more concrete as far as who's in and who's out. Deontay Johnson comes to mind. Amari Cooper comes to mind. Did the Browns lose today? They were trailing. Did they wind up losing the game? They did wind up losing to the Raiders. So the Browns are sitting there at 1-3.
Well, their quarterback is Deshaun Watson, so yeah.
Amari Cooper's contract is very trade friendly. So would not hate to see Amari Cooper there. So there's a couple names for you.
We're gonna get Jody Fortson and like it.
Primetime Rambo, you have to bring in a wide receiver who has produced. We can't go through this season with just in-house options. Might want to reach out to Tennessee. Yeah, hey, DeAndre Hopkins is another one. Like there could be some receivers that wind up out there, and I could see the Chiefs doing that. Look, the Chiefs have been linked to at least two of those with Deontay Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins. Bump a BB, Mahomes tearing own wide receiver one's ACL is the saddest thing. Yeah, that's a rough play, man. I mean, that is definitely a tough way to go out there. Yeah. And then Tad Schroeder, given injuries, what other QB wins is 4-0? None. I also, one other comment he's kind of tying from bump a beat. I think, Mahomes made some comment basically kind of lamenting the fact that he made a bad throw that ultimately caused the injury to him. So, I think there's, I don't know. I mean, he's not gonna feel a ton of like, he's gonna be beat up that he threw a pick that caused it. Like, I mean, they are.
Yeah.
They're gonna be beat up.
That play is not going to be on any Patrick Mahomes highlight reels coming up. I do not think that will make it into the top 100 Patrick Mahomes plays. Sadly, it will not.
Yeah, I mean, like they should obviously. We got plenty of time to talk about it, but that they should go try to see what's available. I think when you get near the trade deadline, Tennessee's a good call. The Panthers, if they just want to kind of collect some draft picks, the Browns, like there's teams out there that have some wide receivers that I think would be worthy of trying to pick up the phone, see what's available. Maybe you try to pick over any free agents or anybody like that. Just there's got to be something, because I don't look at this wide receiver room, what they have out there, and think that they feel really good about their replacement options. I don't think they want to throw Xavier Worthy into the highest volume wide receiver on the team. I don't think they want McCole Hardman, Sky Moore, Justin Ross coming off the practice. Like they don't want to funnel a lot of targets and stuff to these guys. So yeah, they probably are going to have to poke around and see what's available.
Andrew Lee wants us to trade for Amir Smith-Marset. So there's that one.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I have seen this on Twitter of like call up Nico Remigio, see what he's doing. Amir Smith-Marset. Can they sign a good wide receiver? Like a wide receiver who's good. Like let's not like call these guys. Let's actually sign someone who's good.
Yeah, they need to sign an established veteran that's gonna contribute to this offense in a meaningful way. I will say I think it's good that Juju Smith-Schuster is here. I think, like that, this is the reason that Juju Smith-Schuster is here, hoping you can get some more out of him during the season. But these are the reasons that they insulated that wide receiver room with a bunch of players that have familiarity with Patrick Mahomes. Hasn't paid off entirely yet for everyone, but he was comfortable enough to throw that drag route to wide receiver 5, you want to call him, Juju Smith-Schuster last week. So, yep, I think we'll see where they go from there. But yeah, everyone does. All the reports are coming out about the ACL, so that's just great. Anything else, or should we get into Toe's game?
I've got some stats that I've been bookmarking on the Twitter timeline and some presser stuff. You guys can throw out some thoughts on. This one is from Tony Holtzman Escanero. NFL Research retweeted this tweet from Tony. Patrick Mahomes is 13-12 in games when his team's trailed by 10 plus points. I don't know if you guys heard on the broadcast, Tony and Jim try to troll at the beginning of it, be like, "Oh yeah, he's got this record when trailing by 10 plus points," and then they won. That's the only quarterback with a winning record in such situations since at least 1950, with a minimum of 10 starts. For context, Tom Brady was 36-61 in games where his team trailed 10 plus points.
Interesting. Weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
Here's a good quote from Andy Reid. You want to hear a good quote from Andy Reid?
Fine.
This is on Travis Kelce finally having a big game, per at Foot noted on Twitter, Jordan Foot. "I really don't care what anyone thinks, to be honest with you. I watch the defense, what the defense does and how they will respect him. I take it off of that, and I watch Trav every day. I get to see him and how he works." Andy Reid doesn't care about what you think.
I'm glad. And I think the Travis stuff was like way overblown. And maybe it's because like the Swifties are coming in and
let's go. Blame them. Say it, Kent. Say it. If the Swifties didn't complain about his lack of volume, Rashee Rice never got hurt.
Oh, golly.
Oh, no.
No, I wasn't saying that. I was just saying, like, I think that I wasn't super worried about Travis, I guess, at that point. So
I think it's the Travis Kelce thing is there's like clearly a middle ground of he's not the same player he once was, but he's still a very good and effective player. And the couple games that went by wasn't a big enough sample size to figure out what he was going to be this year. And everybody, I feel like, wants to make a hard stance one way or the other. Like even in this game, you see it. He catches the ball and he tries to hit the little dream shake he used to do, and he still gets nowhere with it now, right? He's not juking defenders out with it, and that's okay. It's just you got to acknowledge where the step back is and also say like, hey, by the way, he also led the team in targets and yards and catches and is still a good football player.
Real quick, Joseph Jackson also asking, depending on the Rice injury, we may not see him again until next year, depending on the suspension. Yeah, that's going to be tricky. And where do we go for wide receiver help for now and the future? Well, I think you're riding things out until the trade deadline. I really do think that what it looks like is you're riding things out until the trade deadline. And I if Rasheed gets suspended to start the 2025 season, like what are we looking at? When is he back?
Yeah.
You have to have some more established veterans in this room again. And I don't know if it's going to be Hollywood again next year. We'll see what it looks like there. So like, there's some short and long-term questions there. Just hope Xavier Worthy continues to ball out.
I got 2 more tweets to talk about. One goes back to the running backs. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid said he just went with the hot hand by giving Kareem Hunt more reps. He said he is not down on Carson Steele. 2 fumbles in 4 games is not great. Not a great start for the Rook. But look, undrafted free agent, probably wasn't anticipating to be the starting running back on a team that it has very high pretty high hopes for this season. Also, Xavier Worthy said he's ready to do whatever the coaches say if Rashee Rice misses time. Worthy thinks he's getting more and more ready to put on his plate every week.
That's good. That's a good sign. And I've been excited about Xavier Worthy for a long time. I'm glad he's in.
The play to seal it was impressive. Good work from Xavier Worthy there on the play to get that first down.
I think it was the same call against the Falcons. I think it was the same call against the Falcons.
Same family. I think it was a little different, but like same family for sure.
You're running mesh with 3, and you're trying to run out one out.
I don't think you have the dig or post over. I'm pretty sure it was converted like the
underneath concept. About semantics. The underneath concept, which is really where they wanted to go, was there. So if they run man, I don't think they're running man on that play. But if they run man, you try to throw to the guy that's splitting the 2. Typically, because there's some traffic, they got to run. Yeah. Anyways,
toast game.
Toast game presented by Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. We, of course, are drinking the KCSN Foundation Soft Red Wheat. It is a 7-year, 1-month-old bourbon that we got to pick together as a group, which was a lot of fun. So that's what we're enjoying today. If you went to the KCSN golf tournament, you got a bottle of it. So hope you are all enjoying it. And maybe someone out there is having a little toast game with us. With that special bottle. But Tucker, I have bad news. You're not going to be able to commit to the bit this week.
I got to actually think of something to talk about this week.
Which is why we're going to start with Maddie.
Good call.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm going back to Xavier Worthy. Bevo strong, never a doubt. Just got to give him chances to make plays. The fact that it took us a while, but we finally got a chance for him to go make some plays and some well-thrown passes, and it was good. It got everything that we wanted, and we've alluded to it. I don't think he's anywhere near the same type of player as Rashee Rice, but moving forward, he's going to have a huge role because the Chiefs' number 1 wide receiver is the guy they put in the slot, and they get off the line of scrimmage and they manufacture touches for downfield, not just on screens. They put him in the best spots. It's going to be Worthy. Worthy's going to get those looks. He's now going to be probably a de facto slot receiver more than an outside wide receiver, which is a changeup. Big stuff on the horizon. I thought it was a great game. Without that big, long play, who knows where this offense gets stuck.
Good point.
Love it. Tucker.
Yeah. Well, as I'm watching this game progress here in LA, not a great start for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs this year not have a great start in any of their games. They have had 4 opening drives. They've played 4 football games this season. 4 opening drives have led to points for the opposing offense. Sorry. I got to raise my glass to the Chiefs defense as a whole. Steve Spagnuolo probably gets this one here. I think the Chiefs defense stood on their head and the Chiefs answered. Cheers. This is toast.
That's the most Maddie of toast of all time. Holy.
He took a whole side of the ball. I'm not going to make him the toast game. Actually, screw it. I am.
Oh.
Patrick Mahomes has the most wins by any quarterback through the first 100 games. 78 wins. He has the most passing touchdowns by any quarterback through the first 100 games, which is 225. Most passing yards by any quarterback through the first 100 games. 29,328. So actually, you know what? I'll just read that stat. I'll throw a toast to Kareem Hunt as well for his running performance today, going above, like you said, Maddie, performing above expectations. And like, I love Isaiah Pacheco. I want Isaiah Pacheco on my team. I'm a big fan. As far as, you know, he runs hard and he's a good teammate and he's the kind of guy you want on your team. But Kareem Hunt's performance was statistically and analytically a better running performance than the Chiefs typically have out of their running back position. And that's noticeable. And if they continue to get that, that's a good thing for this team. So Kareem Hunt stepping in, being the essentially running back one after, I don't know what it would have looked like after, you know, the Carson Steele fumble, but stepping in and making, you know, some big runs in this game. So we'll go with Kareem Hunt for that one.
Chat, a lot of shout outs for Matt Areza in the chat. It's another good one. I always try to sneak that in as an extra toast game. Yep. 4 inside the 20, 2 inside the 10. Buddy was punting his ass off while the offense was trying to find theirs.
Yeah, Andrew Lee is saying you're golden to give it to Matt Areza there. That's a good one as well. But yeah, there's some good things there. Chiefs are going to go back to the well, try to win against the New Orleans Saints next week on Monday Night Football as they head into a bye week after that. Big opportunity for them to get out of their first portion of their season, reset, and go for there. But hey, Chiefs win. They win on the road. They win by 7 on the road. Fantastic effort from the defense and plenty to work on as this team continues to build towards a three-peat. That's going to do it for the KCSN post-game show. Thank you all so much for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
You guys have bourbon left?
Yeah.